January the 1st may be the start of the calendar year, but to astrologers and to astronomers alike it holds no terrestrial significance. The true calendar is dictated solely by the annual apparent passage of the Sun as seen from our position on a constantly revolving planet called Earth. Since time immemorial, man has observed the skies up above Earth and charted the passage of the Sun and indeed all the visible planets. Events in this celestial sphere were noted for their correspondences to events that were occurring on the terrestrial plane. It is these correspondences that form the fundamental basis of the study of astrology. Now we all know that we live in a solar system that is a sun-centered system, whereby the Earth revolves around the Sun. In astrology, however, we are concerned with what we see when we are standing on Earth and looking outwards. So we use the geocentric or Earth-based coordinates, and the apparent path of the Sun, known as the ecliptic, is what forms the outer circle of the astrologer's charts. In this image, we use the geocentric system where the equator is projected onto the sky and then becomes known as the celestial equator. This is intersected at the vernal equinox by the Sun as it rises from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, and then again on its return when it intersects at the autumn equinox, and at both these points day and night are of equal length. It is when the Sun appears to be at its highest position in the sky, either in the northern or in the southern hemisphere, that we gain the two solstices. One of the popular misconceptions about astrology is that the astrological chart depicts the Earth. As previously stated, however, the outer circle shows the apparent path of the Sun, also known as the ecliptic. Confusion also arises because if we were using compass directions and looking in at the Earth, west would always be to our left at the 9 a.m. position. When looking outwards, however, the Sun always rises to the east, and so the compass directions are reversed. East becomes the 9 a.m. position, north is at 6 p.m, west at 9 p.m, and the southern position is at 12 noon. So the central line of any astrological chart depicts the equator, and the vertical line has the solstices at each tip. When these 4 points are joined together, they form what is known as the cardinal cross of the signs Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn. It is this southern position at the time of the winter solstice which holds the symbolism of illustriousness and the potential to rise to prominence or hold positions of leadership, and the reasons are this. Most of the ancient civilizations of which we are aware occupied central latitudes or the northern hemisphere. When the Sun was at its highest declination south, day length would have been at its shortest in the northern hemisphere. Additionally, on or around December the 20th, 21st, at the time of the solstice, the Sun, which was venerated as a god, appeared to stand still. This would have induced a great deal of fear, much as the moon appearing to swallow the Sun at the time of an eclipse, or a shooting star or a comet would have induced fear. Sacrifices, prayers and other offerings would have been made to the Sun, which would then appear to have answered their prayers. It became a time for celebration and renewal, as on or around December the 25th, the day length would gradually start to increase again. If you have seen part 1 of the film Zeitgeist, which is freely available on YouTube, you will see a highly professional presentation of this phenomenon and its connections to religion and Christianity. The people of antiquity had discovered the correspondence between celestial and terrestrial events, and they would have actively sought out people born between December the 21st and 25th, believing them to be in possession of a special potential to mankind. In Zeitgeist Part 1, emphasis is placed on the astrological origins of the cross of Christianity, But astrological practice and belief has also birthed other religious and ceremonial regalia and terminology that is still in use to this day. In the following images, you will see how the two equinoctial points of Aries and Libra gave rise to the male and female symbols of Mars and Venus. Mars being the universal symbol of male, and Venus its polarity, the female. The first angle of the chart corresponds to sunrise or dawn or birth. It suggests spirit, life and force made subject to matter, and is shown by the circle under the cross. Its opposite point, the equinoctial point of the autumn equinox, corresponds to Venus. It shows the setting of the sun and denotes the triumph of the spirit over matter, the union of the life of the separated one with the consciousness of the spirit, i.e. the circle over the cross. Through Egypt and ancient Chaldea, through Japan and ancient China, and from Tibet to early Hindustan, we find astrology has passed around the globe, always retaining the same symbology and the same zodiac. Astrologers are well aware that at one time it is possible that the celestial equator and its intersection with the ecliptic did align with the first point of Aries, which is the beginning of the constellation of Aries. However, astrology has many ancient traditions, but it has never been based on the constellations. Owing to something called precession of the equinoxes, it is simply not possible for the North Aries point, the intersection of the ecliptic and the celestial equator, to currently align with these constellations. What we're looking at is a symbolic system. Astrology is one of the most ancient of symbolic languages. It's one that speaks of the unity of heaven, earth and man. It contains within it both the history and possibly the future of the world.